Second option, which is document the agreement, it means prepare a written contract on agreement outlining the agreed upon terms and conditions. All right.
Mm.
The last option here in mind notes that we have follow up. How about follow up? Here in the follow up, we have two options: implement the agreement, and we have review and reflect. So, how about implement the agreement in follow up? Ensure that all parties adhere to the terms and fulfill their commitments. It's all about implement the agreement. The second option is review and reflect. Assess the negotiation process and outcome, identify what worked well and areas for improvement for future negotiations. It's all about review and reflect. By following these steps that we have discussed, you can systematically approach negotiations, improve communication, and enhance the likelihood of achieving a favorable and sustainable agreements. Got
Mm.
it?
So far, yes.
I will write these additional points they have not mentioned over there. I will write here and you
Thank
can
you.
write them on your notes. Number one was preparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is preparation. In preparation, we talked research and gathered information, and we talked define objectives. You can write, I am speaking. In preparation, we talked two options, which is number one is research and gather information. Second option was define objectives. Second option we discussed after preparation, that was planning. In planning, we talked two options. Number one was develop a strategy. Second was form a team. Got it?
Yes.
I will write here. Here we talked about research
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about objectives, right? Here we talked about, in planning, we talked about develop a strategy. Got it?
Yeah.
Strategy, and we talked about form a team. Form a team. Okay. Third option that we talked, that was initiating the negotiation. Initiating the negotiation. In initiating the negotiation, we talked two things. Number one was set the agenda. We talked about agenda, and we talked after agenda, we talked about establish ground rules. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Agenda and ground rules. The fourth option was conducting the negotiation. How you can conduct. In this option, we talked three options. Number one was communicate clearly,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Communicate clearly. Second option was that we discussed engage in problem solving, right? I'm just writing solving, right? In short words. Third thing that we discussed, that was manage conflicts. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Commit, uh, communicate clearly, problem solving, and manage conflicts. That was fourth option. In fifth option that we discussed, that was bargaining, that we will discuss in slides as well. In bargaining, we talked about proposals, the make proposals and counter proposals, right? So we talked about proposals here, and then we talked about assess and adapts. Got it?
Yeah. Assess.
Then we talked about closing, sixth option. That was closing. In closing, we talked about reach and agreement, reach and agreement. And we also talked about document and agreement. You understand?
Yeah.
Document and agreement. The last option was that we talked, that was follow up. In follow up, we discussed implement the agreement and review and reflect. So implementation,
Okay. Hold on.
implementation of agreement, and we talked about review and reflect. So these things that we have discussed additionally, and now we will discuss that points that we have on PDF as well.
Okay. Just give me 2 seconds to copy all of this
Yes,
down.
let
Okay.
me remove this extra stuff. Then I
Yeah.
will give you. You can take 2 to 3 minutes to write down everything. If you won't understand, if you will get any problem to read, to understand any word, then you can ask me. I will speak that word.
Okay. Follow up.
Okay. Now
Okay.
you have 3 minutes, and you can write down everything. Whenever you will have done all this writing, then you can let me know. Then we will continue.
Thank you. Okay. I've caught up.
Okay. So can I remove this now?
Yes, you can remove that now.
Okay. So let's start from these slides now, right?
Hmm.
So implement an effective negotiation process. We have preparation, opening position, bargaining, movement, and closing. We will discuss these things. Now we will start with first question that I asked. We will start after half minutes, right?
Mm.
Just pause for half minute. Okay, are we there now? We can start.
Okay.
What is negotiation? So negotiation occurs when conflict exists between groups and both parties are prepared to seek a resolution through bargaining. We discussed about it before, right? So
Mm.
I will explain it in more detail. So by the way, negotiation is a strategic dialogue. That is a strategic dialogue or process that aims to reach an agreement or compromise by resolving differences and conflicts between two or more peoples. Got it?
Mm.
Because it's a fundamental aspect of human interaction commonly used in business, politics, legal disputes, and personal relationships as well. The process involves communication and bargaining to achieve an outcome that is mutually beneficial or acceptable. It's all about negotiation. The art of negotiation requires a blend of skills such as active listening, clear communication, problem solving, decision making, and emotional intelligence. We have discussed all these options before, right? Successful
Yes.
negotiation often leads to win situations where all parties feel satisfied with the result.
Yes.
All clear. So if I will summarize this in long definition in short definition, you can say that negotiation occurs when conflict exists between groups and both parties are prepared to seek a resolution through bargaining. Right? It's
Mm-hmm.
all about negotiation. All clear? Do you have any question yet?
No, all clear so far.
Great. Next concept is conflict and negotiation. I can ask you in the assignment, what is negotiation? I can ask you what is conflict and negotiation. I can ask you the steps of implement an effective negotiation process. You can uh, mention these points. Also, you can mention that point that I wrote on my whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
You can discuss them as well. How about conflict and negotiation? Conflict and negotiation they are closely intertwined concepts. Conflict arises when two or more parties have incompatible interests, needs, or goals. This creates tension and often leads to disagreements as well, right? Negotiation is the process used to resolve a conflict through compromise and cooperation. You
Yes.
understand?
Okay.
Negotiation aims to reach. Have any question?
No, 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 no. I'm just
All
saying,
right.
conflict does, uh, you know, happen between two different parties for whatever reason, if
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes, great. Okay, negotiation aims to reach an agreement that satisfies all parties involved in the conflict to the greatest extent possible. It requires good communication, willingness to understand the other's perspective, and creative problem solving. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The negotiators identify issues, discuss interest, exchange information, propose solutions, and make concessions until a mutually beneficial outcome is reached. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about conflicts and negotiation. Effective negotiation transforms conflicts into opportunities. It lets parties air their differences, articulate interest, and find common ground as well. You understand?
Yes.
So here in the conflict negotiation, we have conflict can be solved through negotiation when there are two or more parties. There are conflict of interest between the parties. The parties are willing to negotiate to seek a better position, right? Both parties believe that entering negotiation as a better solution than breaking contact. Got it? So
May I ask,
negotiation.
yeah, may I ask in your experience, how do you get people being willing to enter into the negotiation? Because I find it quite difficult to, I suppose, stop the conflict when it does happen, to step in and say, hold on, we need to find a solution. What advice would you give to be able to, as you say, to break up the conflict or identify the conflict when it's just starting before it gets too heated?
According to my exposure, first of all, you will have to find out the conflict, then you will have to break up the conflict. You have to do both things, but you have to do with very winsome manners, because if other person is not going to understand anything, it means he or she is stuck at the point and he is unable to take himself out from that stuck point, right? So we will have to understand that point, and we will have to make more clarity. We will have to explain that thing in more winsome manners. Then we can build hopes on maybe he or she will understand the things. And when you will realize that you can do face reading, you know, the face reading concept. This is a very
Yeah.
important thing in this skill. You will have to use face reading techniques. You will have to understand other person's gestures. You will have to read their faces and how they are understanding your things. Then you will have to place your statements. Sometimes you will have to cope with them, and sometimes you will have to explain yourself. You will have to identify the main conflict, and then you will have to do breakdown. But always you cannot do breakdown. You will have to understand first other person is going to understand you or not. If he is going to understand you, then you can do break down the conflicts. Otherwise you will have to cope with them. That's my experience.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So effective negotiation transforms conflicts into opportunities. It lets parties air their differences, articulate interest, and find common ground. So common ground means you will, if you will find any mutual interest, it means it works for you, right?
Mm. Yes.
So
Yes.
negotiation is essential for resolving disputes, building relationships, and making decisions. It is a learnable skill that relies on empathy, assertiveness. You can say empathy, and you can say assertiveness and flexibility and reason as well. They are very major options, and